All right, if I can have everyone's attention again, we'll continue our media availability here at Sonoma Raceway. We're now joined by Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford. Joey, 2 Sprint Cup Series wins so far in 2014, which solidifies your spot in the chase. Over the last 3 seasons here at Sonoma, you've produced a 6th, a 10th, and an 11th place finish, and also won the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West event here at Sonoma in 2011. Clearly a decent track for you, good finishes here. Talk a little bit about coming here this weekend.
Yeah, I like coming here. It's such a fun racetrack for us, and obviously it's a change up for NASCAR to get to come to these road courses. And Sonoma, I always tell everyone, it's kind of like the short track of road course racing. We're beating and banging quite a bit. Speeds aren't very high here, which produces a great race. Tire wear's definitely very high too, so that strategy that comes into this race also, people talk about the 2-stop or 3-stop race that comes into play there. And so strategy, passing each other, keeping the fenders on this thing, keeping it on the racetrack. It's just such a challenging place, and makes it a lot of fun. Usually there's about 4 or 5 guys that are smiling at the end of the race, and everyone else is really mad at each other. So can't wait.
All right, we'll open it up with a question from Claire, then go to Tom.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Joey, can you talk about any wild experiences you have had in a car on the road course, and put the listeners behind the wheel? What does it feel like racing here? How crazy is it?
Well, I think everyone's always had some kind of experience here. I think everyone in this race has gotten spun out at this racetrack at some point. I think that just happens. When you're trying to slow down these cars, you think about, I'm looking at turn 11 right now, and think about the way you get in there and how fast you're going to how slow you got to get this thing wound up, and usually there's a lot of wheel hopping, and something happens down there and you get a lot of issues. But this track in general, it's through the S is probably one of the most fun parts of it. It's going left to right, left to right. So you got to be really slow at the steering wheel and how you transfer the weight from turning to the left, back to the right, and then back the other way. So you can, and it's fun too to kind of set up your race car here, because you can set up your car for the S's, or you can set up your car for 11, turn 7, turn 4, and like those areas too, and it's gonna be something completely different. So it's cool when you're racing cars and you got to figure out where you're better than them, because your car might be good in certain areas and be really bad in others, and vice versa for them. So it's hard to make sure you're just kind of, everyone talks about a compromise at Pocono. Well, it's even more here because you kind of want to be, have a good platform for the S's, but then you want to be kind of soft in the back and have some roll to have some drive off these corners when you come to the tighter corners and looking for the drive off. So it's a challenging place to set your car up.
Okay, we'll go Tom, then John, Jeff, and Alan.
Hey, Joey, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. In recent years, this place is almost kind of like Martinsville with the way guys are beating on banging each other. Why is that, and do you expect more of it on Sunday?
Oh, yeah, I expect the same thing when we come here. And I think for what I said earlier, the speeds are low, and you're trying to, you're trying to pass people into braking zones. That's one of the main passing zones is into 7, 11 for the most part. And really the way you do it is you got to get right up on them on exit, and then you got to outbrake them. And when you're both braking with everything you got, and then you're trying to go a little further to get them, it's not really there. It's not possible. And your tires are wearing, your brakes are getting hotter. Everything just gets worse throughout the race. So at the end of the race, when the intensity level's up, but everyone's car's not handling as well, we run into each other. And it's a product of it. That's why you want to be the guy that's being aggressive and not the one that's getting pushed around. And that's important. That's why you want to make sure you have a fast race car and you're good in those right areas. That's why practice here is so important coming up, is to make sure we're good in those areas that are danger zones on this racetrack.
Take our next question. John, go ahead.
Hi, Joey. John Householder, NASCAR Productions. This is a preview question for next week. Last year you had a strong run at Kentucky. I hear that you finished the race in 4th place. What are you and your team doing to prepare for the race this year to pull out maybe even another victory for the 2014 season?
Well, Kentucky is definitely one of those tracks that are right in our wheelhouse. I feel like at Team Penske, it's a bumpy 1.5 miles. I feel like that's where we're best, is those bumpy tracks, a wore-out surface that are still got a lot of speed in them, and Kentucky kind of falls into that. It's a special racetrack for me because I got my first nationwide win there, and then backed it up with a couple other ones, and we've run okay in the Cup car there, but not haven't gotten that win yet. So I feel confident going to a racetrack like that. This is bumpy racetracks. It's It's always exciting. So, yeah, we want to go get another win before we get to the chase, and definitely keep this momentum going that we got, and hit the chase hard. So, that track is. Like I said, it's important, but it's more of a momentum builder and making sure we can get going. So we're not testing for it or anything like that because it's not in the chase right now. But it's still an important race for us to go out there and make sure we keep running well.
Okay, we'll go Jeff, Alan, Tom, and Kenny.
Jeff Club from USA Today. You talked about all the contact that happens here. If you had to guess, how much of that contact do you think is intentional and how much is just like, oh, my bad?
The first one's always an accident. And then after that, I don't know how much is an accident. I think it depends on what's going on. Usually we all try to start the race calm, cool, collected. Everyone's just kind of running their deal, and one person gets hit and gets knocked out of the way, then he's mad, and then he hits someone else, and now the next guy's mad, and it just triggers it off, and there you go. So I think everyone starts with the right attitude, and then at the end, really all manners are out the window, and it's all about just, getting to those positions. And everyone, like I said, there's 4 or 5 people that are pretty calm that might not have a mark on their race car because everyone else is going to get beat around. When you get beat around, you get, ticked off. It happens.
Next question, Alan.
Alan Cavano, NASCAR.com. There are a lot of guys who have won here or can win here that don't have a win yet this year. At any point, do you start worrying or wondering about their aggression level maybe at a track like this if it's coming down toward the end of the race, if they're behind you?
I mean, you look at the guys that are good at these road courses, and you look at the guys that's a good question that haven't won yet this season. That are, you're starting to get desperate. I'm sure. You're starting to get into that panic mode, and at this point in the season. And if this is one of those racetracks that you feel like you can capitalize on, and you're close to it, yeah. They're going to be desperate, and they're going to do some crazy things out there. So that's why it's so important to be on the aggressive side. Like I was saying earlier, I want to be the guy pushing. I don't want to be the guy getting pushed around. And you got to make sure you have a car that you can do that with, because it's easier said than done. But if you're the guy right up front, you look at the top 3, 4, 5 cars, you're going to be the ones with not many marks on it. So you got to be consistently up there. You got to be patient. You can't get too fired up, but you got to be the aggressive one. And I think those guys that haven't had the win, like you said, that they're going to get desperate, and it's either going to be checkers or wreckers for them. And hopefully I'm far enough ahead that's not a problem.
All right, next question, Tom.
Hi, Joey. Tom Fitzgerald, San Francisco Chronicle. What do you think of the new qualifying format, and how do you think it's going to work here at the first road course?
It's a great question. I was talking about it this morning. It's tough here. It's probably going to be the hardest place we've come to so far on how we're going to do this, because cars are going to be rolling out of the pits, probably not with a whole bunch of speed. And then there's going to be cars on their flying laps that are going to catch them. And then you think about after the lap, you're going to shut down at the line, and you're going to be coasting around saving your tires for the next run or next session. And there could be someone on there flying runs. So there's a bigger chance here, I think, than anywhere else we've gone so far on getting a lap screwed up by someone rolling around slow. And you think about the S's, and you're going through there so quick and left to right, it's hard for that guy to get out of the way, because on one corner, and if it's a left-hander, he's in the right lane, and the next one he's in the wrong lane, and it's like, how do you get out of the way quick enough, and also save what you got for the next session? So that's one of the challenging points. And like I said, they come out at the pits to take your green. You're not going fast then either. You're probably not going to hit it until you, towards the bottom of the S's or something like that. And it might be different for everyone, but that's going to be a challenge for sure on how you get yourself out there and get yourself a good hole to go. And I think a lot's going to depend on the spotters on when they tell you to go and where other cars are. And it's going to be just important for the guy on their flying lap is the guy that's on the way in or on the way out going slow to make sure they don't get in the way. And it's going to happen to somebody. I feel fairly confident that someone's going to get screwed up with the car pulling in front of them, and they're going to have to go out and run a second lap. And the way tires fall off here, if you got to run a second lap to get to the next session, it's going to be very challenging to get to the next one after that, even if you're able to do that. So there's just a lot of fall off here.
All right, go ahead with your question, Kenny.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Joey, we've seen in years past drivers that not only were really good on road courses, but they always seemed to win on road courses. Like Ricky Rudd was always really good and won races. Rusty Wallace the same way. Then Jeff Gordon. Then Tony was doing it. We don't see that today. It's like we know there are a lot of guys that are much better, but we don't see, any one person dominating, especially here. Is there any reason that nobody's really gotten ahead of everybody else and is always winning?
Everyone's trying a lot harder. I guess, I mean, the competition level always gets harder every year, right? Everyone's always trying to get better. No one's just saying, okay, we're good enough and let's just stay the way we are for next year. Everyone's always trying to get better. And that's not just the drivers, that's the teams also. I think before a driver can kind of overcome their car here, and because, I don't know how much effort teams put into it. And if you were, and I don't know how much effort the drivers put into it either, and if you put a decent driver in an okay car, you can run pretty well here. Now every driver I feel like out here is pretty good at road course racing, and all these teams we test to come out here. I'm sure every team's tested at some point on the way out here, especially with the new rules package this year and getting the new ride heights and figuring all that out. That's a huge change, especially when you come to these road courses. So trying to figure out where you want to be there. I know Team Penske's put a lot of effort in it. I know I've seen other teams testing at road courses. And I think, because we're testing, because we're trying harder, the drivers are getting better at it. They're understanding what they need in a car to go fast at a road course. And I think that's why you don't see the guys back in, the early 2000s and 90s that were, dominating when they come to these racetracks, when there's 4 or 5 guys that can win the race. Now there's 20 guys that can win this race. And I think over the last few years, you look here at Sonoma, the MWR cars have done really well. They've had some really good drive, and this rules change can be a big change for them. You never know, and hopefully it works in our favor. We were decent last year, but we weren't by no means a winning car. We were able to lead some laps, but not able to be there at the right time. So there's just so much that goes into winning these races now. Because the strategy has to play out perfectly. Your race has to go well. Like everything we talked about here so far is so much that goes into winning these road course races, and that's what makes it special, because there's only 2 of them a year. So if you're able to do that, it's kind of a special win.
How much better are you today in road course racing?
Quite a bit. I didn't do any road course racing growing up, so I was always a short track asphalt racer, and I did a few schools. I worked with Boris some. I worked with quite a few different drivers to try to figure this out. And the first time I came here was really bad. The first 2 times I came here, I think it was really bad. And then I came here the 3rd time, and we put it on the pole, and that was like the biggest surprise of my life. I'm like, how the heck did we just get the pole in the Cup race at Sonoma? I'm like, go figure. So I was not expecting that. And then we ran really well in that race. And that was kind of like a light switch went off, like, okay, I think I get it now. I think I know what I'm supposed to do. And if you don't grow up doing it, or you haven't raced a lot, and it's challenging, but any driver that gets to this level has a lot of talent, and they're able to figure it out. You just got to give them a little bit of time, and I think that's why you see the talent level so high, not only at road courses but everywhere we go to, and they're able to just figure it out, because a driver's a driver no matter what you put them in.
Okay, we got a question down here, and then we'll go upstairs for our final question. Go ahead.
Hi, Natasha Lee from Fox 40. I wanted to talk about the fans. What do you love about your fans out here, and how's the energy out here on the track? Any shout outs?
Yeah, no, Sonoma's a great place for us to come to. I love coming out here, and the fans are, it's funny to watch the dynamic of fans, because we can go from the East Coast to West Coast and everywhere in between, and everybody's different, right? So it's fun just to kind of meet them and meet the different types of race fans that are, at different parts of the country. And they all have one thing in common. They all love racing, right? They all love NASCAR racing, and I think that's great. And I love talking to them, meeting with them, and it's definitely it's a beautiful area out here to come to. So we always enjoy coming out here and seeing everyone, and hopefully win a race.
Okay, we have a question upstairs.
Dustin Long, MRN.com. Joey, I wanted to ask you about the tire test at Indy this week. Just what the speeds were like. Sounds like they were a lot faster in the challenging conditions. And also, did you see Tony's wreck there?
Well, obviously I was there. I didn't actually see the wreck. I heard it, though. It sounded bad. Car didn't look too pretty afterwards. And after that, we made some changes on the tires to try to cut some speed out of the cars. I think what we saw there is Tony's car he was the fastest car there at the time, and he didn't have any fall off. He was making a longer run, and I think the fact that there's no fall off in the tire, the heat stays in the tire so much, and then eventually it blows out that shoulder, and at that point, Goodyear said, okay, we got to figure out a way to knock some speed out of these race cars. And so we went to a different left side tire. I don't know where we're going to go from there. I know when we left, they were going to go back and discuss kind of where they wanted to be. But I think they're going in the right direction on making sure that they have the security in the tire, make sure it's safe, and go out there. So yeah, we were faster out there, just like we do every other track we go to this year. When you add downforce and you take ride height rules away, we're going to go faster, and that's what's challenging for Goodyear right now. It's definitely a very big challenge when you come to a racetrack and you go faster and you're already on edge. You got to come back with something that's even more durable, and that's hard. I mean, here's a driver was always wanting more grip and wanting a softer tire and all that, and then we come to the racetrack with a car that has more downforce, that goes faster, and you can't physically build a tire to do that, and it's so challenging for them right now, and I understand it. So I think all the drivers are understanding that also in the team. So we're working with them as much as we can. We're giving them the best information we can to make sure it's a great race for our fans, and it all comes out at the end, and it comes out well. So far, these races have gone great, so we'll keep going with that.
Joey, thank you very much for your time today. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.